If I had a crystal ball, I think I would see Ben Johnson in orange and black next season. The Cincinnati Bengals are sitting at 4-6 after a loss to the Baltimore Ravens, and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are playing out of their minds. Now, the Bengals owner, Mike Brown, is probably the quote-unquote poorest owner in the NFL. Obviously, still a billionaire and the owner of an NFL franchise. But what makes his job so hard to put together this NFL roster is the fact that every time he signs a massive contract extension like Joe Burrow, like Jamar Chase, he has to put all of their contract value into an escrow account. Now, this is a guy who is not cash heavy. I don't think he has the assets to continue to sign multiple players to just gargantuan contract extensions. For example, the Cincinnati Bengals have yet to sign T. Higgins, and I think this is exactly the reason why. They've always been known as, quote, the cheap franchise, but simply said, it just might be because they don't have the money to do it. So let's take a look at what the Cincinnati Bengals are planning on doing over the next 5 years. If you're paying Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and you're tying all of your finances, your financial future into these two players, you want to be competing for championships. And anything less than that is true, utter failure. Now, in the past, the Bengals have, gone to the playoffs, and that's been seen as a success. They had a coach there for over 15 seasons without a single AFC championship appearance. I don't think that is the Cincinnati Bengals going forward. I think that demand success is the motto there. Now, back to what I was saying, the Bengals are sitting at 4-6. It does not look like they're going to make the playoffs. They have lost twice to the Baltimore Ravens. They still have to play the Steelers and the Browns again. It does not look good to make the playoffs. Basically, they're going to have to go probably 10-7 to make a wild card spot, which means they're going to have to finish the year 6-1. And based off the previous 10 games, it doesn't look like they can do that. I think the Bengals miss the playoffs, and all eyes turn to head coach Zach Taylor. The Bengals defense has been pretty atrocious, especially in the second half of that Ravens game last night. They blew a 21-7 lead. Just unbelievable from a standpoint of, if you told me before the game Joe Burrow is going to throw for 300 plus yards and Jamar Chase is going to receive over, I think, 12 passes for over 230 yards and 3 touchdowns, and the Bengals lose, I guess I could see a shootout, but I don't think the Bengals would ever lose in that spot. To me, it comes down to, you can't blame the guy you're paying over $400 million to. You can't blame the guy that you're paying over $150 million to at receiver. All the blame shifts to the head coach. Whether you actually think that that's the issue or not, it's probably going to be the scapegoat of this Bengals team. I think Zach Taylor is probably on the hot seat right now. Playoffs on the line. Got to make it if you want to keep your job. At the end of the year, I think the Bengals missed the playoffs. I think they let go of Zach Taylor, and they're on the move for a new head coach. And there is one assistant head coach right now that declined multiple times to take a head coaching position last year, reportedly. I think he's going to be on the market yet again as an extremely hot commodity, and the Bengals are going to go get him. And that guy is Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. The Lions offense is absolutely electric, creative, dynamic, and unsolvable for opposing defenses. We have seen this Lions team do it in all different kinds of ways. Tackles going for touchdowns, receivers throwing touchdowns to Jared Goff, the backfield of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. The Lions play extremely physical football, and it opens up the window to force feed a star wide receiver like Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's exactly the type of offense that the Bengals probably need to be playing. Their offensive line isn't as good as the Lions, but I'm sure if you hired Ben Johnson, that would be the number one focus of the team in the offseason. So let's get back to the main point. Ben Johnson declined multiple opportunities to become a head coach last year, reportedly, and then he said, doubled down on top of that and said he wanted to win a championship with the Lions. I think this is the make or break season for that. If the Lions can't win a Super Bowl, then it's probably a wash. I think that the Lions have a really good chance to win the Super Bowl this year. And even if they don't, I do think Ben Johnson will go take a head coaching position somewhere. But I think truly, in my personal opinion, this is complete speculation. He declined those opportunities last year so that he could find a job where he has a franchise quarterback, and B, a chance to win now. So we're looking for quote unquote best fit. And the Bengals are exactly that. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, a top 5 receiver, a defense with a coordinator that I don't think would be let go. I really like what the Bengals have shown on defense in the past. It seems that the current roster has kind of aged out from their Super Bowl run a few years ago, and they need to kind of retool and prepare for the future. They've really struggled so far in the year. I think they have a bottom 3rd scoring defense and a bottom 6th rushing attack. So they do not do well against the run. They really didn't do well against the pass last night. The scheme is a little outdated and needs to be updated. I think that's going forward. That's exactly what they're going to do, regardless of whether or not they keep the defensive staff that's around right now. I think that they replace their head coach. They get a new guy in there that's more creative on offense and matches better with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, creates a more dynamic run pass option, not an RPO system, but run the football play action style offense, very similar to what is going on in Detroit right now. And if you want an idea of what that Bengals offense would look like with Ben Johnson, I think the Falcons offense with Kirk Cousins is exactly what I'm thinking. Lots of play action, tons of feeding the ball to your running backs, and in that play action, your receivers are always wide open. Drake London is having a career year. Kyle Pitts, like it or not, has taken a step up. Darnell Mooney looks like he might be a top 10 receiver in the league. My goodness, he's having a great year. I think that's exactly where the Bengals are headed if they end up taking Ben Johnson. That's my prediction. But let me know if you think that Zach Taylor, whether or not he's going to keep his job. And let me know where you think Ben Johnson's going to end up going, because there's no way he doesn't take a head coaching opportunity here in the next NFL offseason.